Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 116 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit and crochet, and get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. It is Saturday, June 18th, 2022, and it's a gorgeous day out. It's not as hot as it has been the past almost week or so. It's probably in the low 80s, but there's a nice breeze out there. Might not even be in the 80s. I'll have to double check. Anyway, it's a gorgeous day out there. I have the windows open, and you potentially are going to be hearing extra ambient noises today. There is every year for Father's Day, on Father's Day weekend, they have an antique type car show all along. We live right on Main Street, all along the main street through town, and they close it off to traffic, and they have people with all kinds of old cars parked on either side of the street. People walk up and down, talk to the people who have the cars on display, and just check out all the neat old cars. So it's always a lot of fun, and there might be some engines revving, there might be loud music, there might be dogs barking, and I might get lucky and it might be quiet for the next half hour. Wait and see. Anyway, I'll talk more about all kinds of miscellaneous stuff at the end. So this week has been really productive. I've got a lot done work-wise and crafting-wise. I have one finished object. I've made some great progress on one of my works that I have ongoing, and I have my yarn and everything all ready to cast on a new project once I get going with the editing on this. So when you see me next week, I'll have progress on a new whip next week, but I'll tell you all about that in just a few minutes. So my finished object, my Creamsicle cat blanket, except for the ends. I'm all done except for weaving in the ends. It's just lazy on my part. I just haven't had a chance. It'll take me all of 5 minutes to get it done. Maybe I'll do that before I start on casting on the next project. But anyway, this is a crochet project. It's just a simple, I chained something like 55 or 65 stitches. I don't even remember right off the top now. Once you get the chain done, I don't have a specific pattern for it. You do a double crochet, US terminology, a double crochet in the 4th chain from the beginning, or from the end I should say, and then double crochet all the way to the end, chain 2, turn, double crochet in each double crochet all the way back, and continue until you run out of yarn. Basically was my strategy. So I had one skein and a little bit of this stuff. So it was Encore, Plymouth yarn Encore. So it's worsted weight yarn, 75% acrylic, 25% wool. And this was, I had one skein plus a little bit of this specific yarn. I doubled that up with a bare yarn, just a worsted weight wool of the Andes bare yarn that was just left over from when I did my row cardigan. And I held it double and used a 6mm crochet hook. I haven't even taken the dimensions of it. It's probably, I'd say maybe 16 to 18 inches wide, maybe 20 inches, probably not quite. And it's probably about 15 inches from top to bottom. So this is going to make a nice size blanket for my friend's cat. And this orange was yarn that she gave me. It's been a few years back when I used to work with her, which is, goodness, over 4 years ago now already. Yeesh. She gave me some yarn that belonged to her mother, and I opted for using all of that yarn to make 2 lap blankets and a cat blanket. So everyone in her house will will have a blanket now. So there's each of them were using different yarn, and I doubled it up or augmented the yarn with some of the yarn I had of my own. So I'm hoping to get together with her sometime later this summer and deliver the 3 blankies to her. So that's my finished object. And like I say, it's a quick, easy project. It's also that specific pattern is perfect for using up scraps of yarn. And I've made oodles of them that style, a little bit smaller than this one, in the past, and donated them to different humane societies in different areas that I've lived, and let them use them for blankets for the cats at the particular humane society that I've donated it to. Sipping on a cup of tea today. I'm tired. You can probably see the big old bags under my eyes and dark under my eyes. I'm tired today. So just drinking some tea. It is Bigelow cinnamon stick. It's so yummy. It smells fantastic. It's basically just black tea with cinnamon flavor in it, and it's so, so good. I just feel the need for more caffeine today. I'm tired. And I'll get to the story behind why when I get towards the end. So my ongoing work in progress, I'm not going to show this right away. This is my Miss May Shawl Mystery Knit Along, and it's a pattern by Helen Stewart. And since last week, I finished the last part of clue number 1. I didn't quite have all the way to the end of clue number 1 complete when I saw you last week. Since then, I've finished clue 1, and I've done all of clue number 2. I just finished that maybe an hour and a half ago before I got behind the camera. So I'm not going to show it quite right yet. I'm going to wait and show it to you. I'll put a spoiler alert up, tell you when it's safe to come back and look in case you're not wanting the surprise ruined. I'm using 4 colors of yarn for this shawl. It does call for either doing the shawl in 4 colors or using a single. You can do it with a single color. So these are my 4 colors. They are all Cloudborne fibers, the Highland Superwash Sock Twist, then the colors Ocean, Lagoon, I think this one is Taupe Heather, and Stone Heather. So Lagoon, Ocean, do I have this in the right order? Yeah, Lagoon, Ocean, Taupe Heather, and Stone Heather at the end. So I've used, it calls for 100 grams of each. These are 50 gram skeins of yarn. I've only done the first skein of each of these. I've caked up and used already. So I'll see how much of the 100 grams of each of those skeins that I use. So I'm going to get ready to show you what I've done this past week. So if you are working on this shawl, if you are still farther behind than I am, or not to the point where I am and you want this to remain a surprise, I'll put a spoiler alert and I'll tell you what time it's safe to come back so that you don't inadvertently see something that you don't want to see. So if you want to have this remain a surprise, the Miss May Mystery the Miss May Shawl Mystery Knit Along. If you want this to remain a surprise, look away now and I'll tell you when it's safe to come back. Alrighty? Fair warning. So here is where I am so far. It's all scrunchy bunchy because it's unblocked. So the first clue included the first 3 colors. So I have them as color A, B, C, and D. So the first clue took us to the end of this section. And when I saw you last, I was about halfway through this ocean green color. So that's how that, whoopsie, that didn't work out very well. So that's how that clue looks. Hopefully that's a little bit clear. And clue number 2 was this whole section in the stone heather. It's kind of hard to see. It's a nice lacy pattern. So since I saw you last, I did the last half of the green here and this darker tan color, brown color up at the top. So I'm loving this so far. So it's safe to look back now. I finished it, put it aside. No more surprises to be ruined for you. So I'm happy with the progress on that. Clue number 3 will come out on Tuesday. So today's Saturday, it'll come out on Tuesday. It's usually the clue has been released sometime in the middle of the night on Tuesday morning, or the middle of the night Monday night into Tuesday morning. So when I get out of bed on Tuesday morning, I typically am able to, I find the clue, it's been released while I've been snoozing. So third clue will be coming out on Tuesday. I'm really happy that I got clue number 2 done during the week for clue number 2. I'm not sure if I'll be able to continue to keep up. We shall see. I found the first half of this clue to be a little trickier. It used more, for me, it used more brain power. The second half of the clue buzzed along pretty quickly. I was able to memorize the stitch pattern for each of the rows. So the second half of that clue zipped along a lot quicker. Even though there's quite a few stitches on the needles, it worked out quite quickly. So I'm really happy with my progress on that. So I have not snipped the yarn from clue number 2 because I don't know if that's the color we'll continue with next week or if we'll switch to another color. I don't know. So I'm not going to cut that color off yet in case we continue using that one. I didn't look at I don't remember if I read that detail in the pattern, whether it said to cut the yarn at the end of clue 2. Doesn't matter. I did tuck in the tails of most of clue 1. The only tail that's not tucked in yet, and I will do that before Tuesday, is where I transition from clue 1 into clue 2. So there's those two tails that need to be tucked in. So I'll get those done and then I'll be ready to, I'll just have one tail untucked, the end of clue 2, unless I'm continuing on with that color. But I suspect we'll switch colors. I don't know, we shall see. So my one finished project or finished object, my one work in progress. And I also have another project that I will be casting on probably within the hour. So once I'm finished filming this, I will be caking up a skein of yarn and I will be casting on. I might not get much done this afternoon. I should be able to have time to get some work done on it this evening. We do have some things going on this evening, so might not get as much done this evening. We'll see. So my new project that I'm going to be casting on is the Super Sock World Championship lap number 1 has begun. They always, for this competition, for each lap, they release 2 patterns, what they call a high octane and a low octane pattern. And the distinction between them is that one of them is, the high octane is, the pattern is a little bit more intense. And the low octane is a little bit more, I don't want to say straightforward, it's a little less intense. So I don't want to say a more difficult and an easier pattern. Probably intense is the better word for it. It's a little, typically the high octane is a little bit more complicated than the low octane is. And we have an option, we can do either of them, we can do both of them, or we can opt out of knitting either pattern and just sit out any particular lap. So the pattern came out yesterday. I was away, so I didn't see the pattern until later this morning and wasn't able to even think about yarn choices and things until I was back home this afternoon. More details on that I'll talk about later. So I am going to do the high octane pattern. We have until the 29th of June to finish it, so I'm hoping I'll get it done on time to get a point. We'll see. I didn't write down the name of the low octane pattern. Oops. Yeah, I'm not planning right now on doing the low octane. So the high octane pattern for lap 1 is called Barleycorn, and it's a pattern by Eva Romagen. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that anywhere close to correctly. If anyone else knows, please let me know if I butchered it or if I'm anywhere close. And if I did butcher it, I am so sorry. And please tell me how to pronounce it correctly. So I'm ready to cast on. I'm going to be using this yarn. It is a yarn I dyed myself. It's basically a yellow background with mostly orange, green, some bluish gray speckles and splotches on it. So this is the yarn I'm going to use. So again, this is a yarn I dyed myself. I was just using some leftover yarn I had from something else. So some of the yellows, there's some darker spots and lighter spots. I'm hoping that the speckles don't distract from the pattern. We'll see. It should be okay. So I still have to cake this up and get started with casting this on shortly. So the pattern is somewhat lacy. This particular one is top down. The low octane I noticed was toe up, but that's it for Barleycorn. I thought that might be good yarn for this because I have colors of light yellow and grainy kind of colors, kind of more of the yellows and oranges and darker shades for the corn, plus the green for the plants and the outside of the corn. The blue, I have no idea where that fits in. That's okay. But that's what I'm going to be using to knit Barleycorn. So tune in next week and see how much progress I make on the socks this week. I say I will have a little bit of time tonight. I should have a fair bit of time tomorrow, fair bit of time on Monday to work on them, and then Tuesday Clue 3 comes out. So I will have to divide my time up between the two patterns once Tuesday rolls around. So that's my knitting and crochet content for today, or for this past week. just to chat a bit about just random things that have been going on in my life since we talked last. Last night, or earlier this week, my husband talked me into, it wasn't a tough sell. He was all excited and wanted to go to see a pro baseball game. And at this particular game, they were going to be they do this every once in a while. After the ball game, they set up a stage and there's certain bands that come in and they have a concert in the ballpark. And it was the band that my husband wanted to see. I'm clueless. No idea what's going on in the world when it comes to modern music. But he wanted to go to this event, so it sounded like fun. It was in Baltimore, which is about an hour and a half drive from our place. And we thought, if we're going on a Friday afternoon, if there's any bad traffic, it's going to be people trying to get out of Baltimore and get away for the weekend, not going towards Baltimore. And that was true. The traffic going into the city was not bad at all. And in the grand scheme of things, it was a very straightforward, easy drive down there. We just went down, it just flowed from one highway onto another, and then it just kind of like, you just came off one of the main interstates and down to another highway, and it just kind of rolled right past the hotel. And there we were. And the hotel we stayed at was right across the street from the ballpark. We could actually see from our hotel window, we could see part of the ballpark. So we went and saw a Baltimore Orioles game and they won. Yay! The team won last night. And then after the game, there was a concert by Flo Rida. Flo Rida? Yeah, I'm not even getting pronounce it properly. Flo Rida. Yeah. And it was fantastic. After we were there, it's like I recognized some of the music because it's things I've heard. Apparently a lot of his stuff is on a lot of videos on TikTok. Apparently, I don't know. But the concert was fantastic. And so the game started at 6. And the game was done around 9. The concert was ready to start by, I think it was done, concert was going by 9:30. And it was a short concert, it was about an hour. And then by the time we got out of our seats and got out of the stadium or the ballpark and basically across the street to our hotel, we were back in our hotel well before 11 o'clock. So the timing was really good. And it was a lot of fun. It really was a lot of fun. And my husband's like, we have to do this again. We have to do this again. And the drive back home was not bad. We slept in. Well, we tried to sleep in. I never sleep well. The first night I stay in a strange place. If I'm staying someplace for more than one night, the second night I usually sleep better. But if it's a strange hotel, someplace I'm not used to, I never sleep well the first night. I have trouble falling asleep. It's not my bed, it's not my pillow, there's different noises, all of that nonsense. So I never sleep well. So we thought we don't have to get up early, we don't have to check out till 11 o'clock. We're certainly not going to sleep that late. So we slept in. I slept in till almost 7. It was almost midnight before we did fall asleep because we just sat and yapped for a while after we got back to the hotel. But it was a lot of fun. So after we got up, we went downstairs in the hotel and they had a buffet breakfast there. So that was nice. And then we finished packing up our little bit of, we didn't take much of anything with us because we were just staying one night and then just going back home. So basically we just packed our jammies and clean socks and undies. So the drive home was pretty easy. The traffic was a little bit busier coming back home than it was going there, but it was not bad at all. So it was a lot of fun. It was an expensive trip, but it was a lot of fun. The food in the ballparks, oh my goodness, the food is, and the drinks are so expensive there. Oh my goodness. A bottle of Diet Pepsi was $6.50. You can buy a 6-pack for way less than that anywhere, any grocery store. But we knew going into it that the prices were going to be ridiculous, and that's just part of the thing. So our supper, we had roast pork sandwich, like barbecue pork sandwiches for supper with chips. The sandwiches were amazing. They were so good. But we had like basically two sandwiches with with chips and 2 Diet Pepsis, and it was like the bill was I think almost $50. But it was delicious. It was delicious. But it was a lot of fun. And so I'm tired. So it was between driving there yesterday and then all the excitement and being up late at the concert and the ball game, then driving back home again. I find driving, I love driving, but I find it tiring because you're just so focused on the road and the traffic around you and all that stuff. I do find it very tiring, but I enjoy it. So I'm pooped. The hubby's having a nap right now. Then this evening we have at the church, we are putting on, since tomorrow in the US is Father's Day, the church always does what they call Father-Son Banquet. And what they do is some of the ladies will prepare a meal, and several of the ladies will serve the meal to the men, and then they have a guest speaker comes in and to talk to the men and sons. They do the same thing for Mother's Day. They have a mother-daughter banquet, and the same thing. There's a group of the men that prepare the meal for us, and then they serve us the meal and clean up afterwards while we have a guest speaker that speaks to the women and the mothers and daughters that are there. So it's a lot of fun. So I've offered to help serve. I'm not helping with the cooking because I wasn't sure how late we'd be getting home today from the concert and from our little trip. So I wasn't sure. So I said I told them I would come and help serve the meal, but I wouldn't be able to help with the cooking part, which is probably fine. Some of the ladies that are doing the cooking, they probably have it all figured out and they don't want or need extra help and extra people in the kitchen. The serving part and the cleanup afterwards, I'm happy to help with that. So that's the plans for this evening. So we'll be heading out in about an hour and 15 minutes from now. We'll head out for that. And so I should have time to cast on my socks before we go, and then work on them when we get home. We should be home probably by 8 or 8:30 this evening, I imagine. So I'll have some time to work on my socks this evening as well, my barleycorn socks. And then tomorrow we have church, and then I have time to knit all afternoon and all evening and all day Monday. So I should be able to get a good bit of progress done on these socks coming up. So we'll see how much I have done for next week, and we'll see if I manage to get all of clue number 3 completed on my Miss May shawl. So I think that's about all that's new around here. I've been trying to figure out plans to travel and head up to visit my mom and my family for a couple weeks later this summer. I think the plan is right now, it looks like I'll be going middle to late July and coming back here early August. So I'm planning on going for like 2.5 weeks thereabouts. Hubby won't be able to make it this time. He'll stay home and guard the fort, and I'll go and visit my mom and my sister, niece, and other family members. So I'm still trying to work out travel plans, whether I will fly or take the train, and then rent a car or have someone come and pick me up, because the train doesn't get all the way to my final destination. But I'm also kind of worried about airline travel right now, just because I've just heard a lot of horror stories about just different problems with travel. Flights getting canceled last minute, lines and delays and all this. No, I have a border crossing to worry about. I'm honestly leaning towards taking the train, going on Amtrak. It's like a day and a half. Yeah, I would leave here on a Monday, early afternoon, and arrive there Wednesday very early in the morning, like 5:30 in the morning. But we shall see. It does give me lots of time to knit while I'm sitting on the train, and I love traveling by train. But anyways, that's a whole nother bunch of stories for later. I might be able to do some podcasting and vlogging while I'm on the trip. Yeah, we shall see. But anyway, I better get going, get the editing done on this, so it's done and uploading when we're having to head to the church for supper, and get these socks started. Alrighty, take care, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.